Welcome back to the table, everybody. And I know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking off the jump. Clark, you look so great right now. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Shockingly do look like this a good percentage of the time, actually. But we pulled out all the stops, Mama, tonight because I thought it'd be really fun to do something that I will never get to do again for the rest of my life, as long as Aaron behaves. But cook something for a first date or a date, per se. And you can always date your partner, right? That was kind of what got me thinking about this, was the fact that a lot of what started Clark's Tables was wanting to do at-home date nights and getting really creative with them, going back to that idea and doing something special at home with what you have in your own space. I thought, wouldn't it be so fun to think about, like, if I was meeting someone for the first time or just getting to know someone and we were kind of in that dating phase, what would it look like to plan a first date for them in the kitchen? And it really got the wheels turning. Okay, it really got the wheels turning of how I would do it, how I would set it up, what would I wear. There's so many different options and choices about how you can go about this. And so today we're going to give you the rundown of what I think is a really great flow, things that are super impressive but easy for you to make, things that are things that go well together, and also things that make the flow of the date go smooth. Also, things that make pretty much everyone happy, food that sits well with almost everyone, pretty safe foods if you don't know a ton about this person, but you should know a good amount before you're inviting people into your home. That's all I'm going to say, Mama. You do you. You do you. But we have a full spread, and we are going to start with a little charcuterie moment. We have some candles. Mama, the goal of this is really to have this sort of back and forth moment. Everyone's kitchen and home is structured a little bit differently as well. So that's something you have to take into consideration, right? I do not have a kitchen table. For the size of our apartment, we just decided it didn't make sense. And we do have chairs at our counter extender, aka our second island over here. I like that. I would love to just have like one giant island with chairs on the other side, but beggars can't be choosers. Okay? So the whole flow of my meal is based off of the idea that someone can sit in my kitchen, sit with me, talk with me as I make a meal, as I'm doing things, as I'm moving around. And I think that's a great option when you're first getting to know someone, because I think the downside of inviting people over for like a meal can be either one, you're spending a lot of the time eating and not talking and getting to know each other, which is what those sorts of dates should be about, or you eat for such a short period of time and then you fill the space with a lot of other stuff, like, do you want to watch a movie? Do you want to like play a board game? I don't know if you should do that on a date. That's just a personal recommendation, but think about it. Doing things like that, I think it's better to make designated time to talk to someone, because that's the best way to get to know if you should keep going on dates with them. So we're going to walk through the meal. We are going to make everything for our date, aka our designated taste tester, Aaron. And I'm going to show you kind of the flow, how I think you could structure it. You've heard this. We're going to go through it, okay? Let's get some food out. Let's get some wine. And let's get into it. Let's get into this outfit. Also, wait, I made this. Okay? Round of applause right now. I made this. And I busted it out. One, because this is strapless and I don't like that. And two, I just needed to show you. She's made out of thrifted fabric. Gorge, okay? Don't ask me where I got her. She's custom. She's custom made. So the first thing I would say is, once your guest of honor arrives, I would offer them a beverage. Maybe they don't drink alcohol. We still stand. Okay, have something that you know that they like. And that's something that's not also going to get you both litty titty in the first hour of being together. Something that is like a nice, easy, mild drink. And if you want to keep it simple, I like wine because you can drink it slow, even though it's a little bit higher percentage of alcohol, but then you can pick like one bottle of wine that will go with your meal, that will be nice to drink on its own, and then you don't have to worry about making cocktails or pouring other drinks. And I think it's a little bit more sophisticated than a beer or some type of like canned beverage. If the person who is coming on the first date only likes beer, I would just get that. But I would recommend getting like some type of cool beer that maybe they can try or you can try together. But I would recommend pouring it in a glass versus drinking it out of the can. For me, wine is opened via I know it sounds crazy, but it works so well. It's a good talking point, you know? Okay? I like that. Maybe also if the person you're having come over isn't super well versed in wine, one, don't do what I'm doing and put white wine in red wine glasses. You can. These glasses have better feel. Do you know what I mean? Like they just all the girls, gays, and theys all know when a glass just like feels good in your hand, it makes the wine taste so much better. And white wines don't need to breathe this much, so they don't need this big of a glass, but it just feels good. And I don't have any like really skinny stem white wine glasses. So if I was having someone over, I'd give them the pretty glasses, even if they don't care. It's for me to feel good about it. This is good. This is a really mild white wine and it's cheap. This is from Trader Joe's. Okay, I've been hitting it up with these really good, affordable wines at Trader Joe's. I was trying to do it at Costco. No, Trader Joe's is the way to go. And it's spring. It's white wine time, okay? It's crisp, crunchy, delicious white wine time, okay? That's what we need to get. This one's very good. It's a little bit more on the dry side. I like that. My date's not going to love that so much, but he'll still drink it. And I know that about him. Once you open your wine, I would just ask the person to like take a seat and you can sort of just start chatting a little bit and I would just put the wine out. It's not going to really hurt if it starts to cool off a little bit. I do keep mine in a wine fridge, so it's not fridge chilled, it's cellar chilled. Slightly lower than cellar chilled. Normally, I know that's not what y'all are doing, so especially if it came out of the fridge, it's got plenty of time, it'll still be good. So I'm just going to leave it out, that way they can also pour as they wish. And they don't have to keep asking you or wonder if they should have more. Like, don't make it so that they have to ask you questions. Do you know what I mean? I feel like that's how it could get awkward. Y'all ever dated an overthinker? I try to think like overthinkers. I'm gonna move. This is lemon pound cake that I made last night. We're gonna use this for the dessert. Prep is your friend here, or pre-made your friend. You choose your own journey, okay, Mama? We're just gonna get her out of the way. I almost don't like the candles. Have a little romance in your life. Oh my god. While I like these, what's the game plan, you may ask? Okay, so game plan is to do this in phases, right? So it elongates your time together. You're not trying to fill like awkward silences. You can kind of eat a little bit, talk a little bit more, eat a little bit, talk a little bit more. It like definitely guarantees you a solid 2+ hours of time spent together, which I love. And I think the best way to do that is to do the meal in layers. So to put a little bit of food out, make a little bit more. Put a little bit of food out, make a little bit more. And make things that don't take long or things that aren't super stove heavy, so that way you're not over in like this corner of the kitchen chilling while they're all the way over here. Of course, yes, yell. You can speak across the room, but we're trying to connect. Okay? We're trying to build this je ne sais quoi, if you will. So best to stay nearby. So I think the best way to start that out is a little wine, a little chit chat, and you can assemble a little snack board. Okay? A little charcuterie moment. Who doesn't love meat, cheese, and snacks? Okay? But because we're eating so much, I chose to do a very small, just like cheese crackers, some little toppings for the cheese and crackers, because you don't want someone to load up on this, okay? We're doing a little charcuterie board, and then we're going to do a soup. I'm doing tortellini soup because it's not super filling. It's basically broth with tortellini in it, and I got pre-made tortellini. I already have the stock. I'm going to use my stock plus a little bit of box stock. I'm just going to season it up. That should be done in like less than 10 minutes. So I don't really have to be watching it, building it, getting sweaty at the stove. Then for the main course, I'm just doing steaks and a little side salad. That way, the steak is like the main. We're not putting like a carb or a starch with it to really fill us up too much, because then we're going to do dessert, Mama. Okay? So you see the vision, right? The steaks aren't going to take more than 10 minutes on the stove. I have some fillets. They are sitting out at room temp, salted, doing their thing. And then if you want to put the little salad with it, just so it looks a little more cohesive, you zhuzh that together. We're going to use pre-made dressing, easy. And then it also doesn't take super long for you to eat, right? You can sit down, have that part of the meal together, and then when you're ready, you can make dessert. Dessert takes a little bit longer. We do have to like whisk some things together pretty aggressively. If you have a stand mixer, you could bust that out. I'm going to do it in a bowl, one for minimal noise and minimal dishes at the end. Taking some time, right? This meal's going to take, I would expect, 2 hours. You have these breaks, you have time together, you have time apart, you can kind of gauge how things are going. It's not going well, skip dessert. Get their crusty butt out of here, okay? Do what you gotta do, right? Who's gonna not like this? And if they don't like what you make, this is going to be a bad date. I'm just gonna front load that. They shouldn't be invited back. I went a little heavy with the cheese. Why? Because I love it, okay? And I got things that are pretty neutral. Also, if you don't super know what people like, horse and cheese is loved by all, hated by none, super versatile. Bada book, bada boom, baby. Okay, then I did some goat cheese. This one is a Quattro di Bufalo. So I think it is a semi-hard buffalo milk cheese. I just thought that was cool, and I wanted to try it. And then we have a classic cheddar. Things that are not super crazy, that people will like. And we didn't get giant chunks of them either, okay? Let me get a cheese knife. My cheese knife. She's cute. She's got a little bottle opener. I don't know what you use this for. Or this, but very multifaceted. Okay, and again, you want something quick to assemble, right? We're not trying to have our peeps sitting here getting bored, so keep it simple. I know some people like to keep the boursin in the foil. I think it's ugly. Personal opinion. Personal opinion, okay? I love how soft this is. Whoa! Shout out to my friend Cassie for getting me this tray. It's adorable. Okay, let's see. Oh, yeah. That's super interesting. It's very creamy, and it's really salty. I have some fig jam in the fridge that I think will go very well with that. I am going to cut off the rind the whole way around. I thought about leaving it on just because I thought it would leave these nice, pretty slices, but the reality is that then someone's going to not eat that, and then we kind of need like little plates to sit it on, and we're trying to be functional here, right? All right, we got that. I'm going to put some, I know I'm snacking. I would rather fill this with some fruit and not so much cheese. So I think I'm going to put the cheddar out. I'm going to save this for a different time. These are some leftover crackers that I had from a wine and cheese night. I do have some veg I could put on this too, but for charcuterie boards, I always love to do veg with some type of dip, like a dressing or a hummus or something like that. So because I don't really have anything, I'm just going to stick to some fruit. This cheddar also has like a rind on it, so I am going to get that off as well. And then I'm just breaking this one into little chunks. Cheddar is hard enough that breaks up nicely, does that way you're not having to do a ton of work. Okay, let's put some fruit on there. She's giving a little beige right now. The last thing, I really did want to put some pickles on here. I just don't think we're going to have the room. So, cheese knife going in. And then you can put this out for your guest. So the cheese board is out. It's honestly like mostly gone at this point. We've been chatting, enjoying life. So the next thing we're going to do is make the soup. So like I said, it's super easy. I bought cheese tortellini. I wanted to do something kind of like with a little bit more flavor than that. Like Italian sausage but I didn't want to do like a kale or a spinach because there's not enough excess flavor to add like more punch. So if you don't exactly know your person's palate, the best thing to do, I think, is stick with cheese. And we got the little baby ones because they're going in the soup. You need to have them on a spoon, like, you know? Okay. When I started this soup, I realized that this was all the broth I had on hand right here. Okay, so we had to improvise a little bit. We took this and I just refilled this carton with water and dumped it in here, and I'm going to show you how you can build a quick flavorful broth with what you have on hand. We wanted this broth to stay kind of clear, so I added in things that weren't going to add too much texture, like a couple bay leaves. And then I also added in some onion powder and garlic powder. And then the secret to broth in a pinch, beef bouillon paste, or any bouillon paste for that matter. So I got that all mixed up, and then we brought this to a boil, and then we wanted it to be crystal clear, right? So once this got well mixed up, heated up, everything is at least dissolved, right? The spices aren't going to dissolve the whole way, because remember, we're just trying to build flavor and make just enough broth for the two of us. So I added a little more water because I knew some of it was going to boil off at this point, and then at the end of this, we'll strain it through a fine mesh strainer so it's nice and crystal clear. Imagine this. You go on a first date and you taste the food with a spoon and like you reuse it because it's your house and it's your life, and your date gets grossed out by that. That would give me the ick. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna add in some of my little tortellinis now that this is boiling. What's the method to my madness here? I'm doing this for splashback purposes. Look how pretty that looks. Okay. She's finishing up. I turn the heat down because no one wants to eat pasta or soup that is literally boiling. So I'm going to ladle this up. I'll show you how we go through that process once this cools down a bit. I grab my ladle, and the first thing we're going to do is actually just scoop out some of these tortellini because they're right on the surface. I don't really mind that the broth had a little bit of the spices in it. It was still going to be pretty clear at the end. So the goal was to just scoop out some tortellini, put those in the bottom of the bowl, and then top them with the broth. So once I had both bowls with the tortellini, I just took my fine mesh strainer and ladled out the broth and everything that was still stuck in it, I guess. That way I had a little bit more control and could get the broth level down a little bit more before I just decided to finish it off and dump the rest into the bowls. Luckily, this pan also has a little, spout on it. Gives you a little bit more control. But we just wanted to add in enough broth to fill the bowls up most of the way, and then they were good to serve. Alrighty, we've made it to and through 2 courses already. We had our little charcuterie and the soup, which I think also, if you want to keep it a little bit lighter, do less broth, just so you don't feel so full. But I think it's a nice light, almost like palate cleansing soup. It's not super in-depth flavor-wise that it might be off-putting to some people, and I really love that about it. Now we're going to move on to the steaks. After consulting with my date, I don't think we're going to do the side salad with it, just because I don't think it's going to add anything. Do you really want it? Yeah. So consult with your date. See what they want. Mine asked me where the bathroom was. You live here. If you really didn't want to do the soup, you could skip that and then just do steak and salad. You'd still have 3 courses. It's flexible. You have a lot of options. But I'm keeping my date here for a while. He's a good looking man. I think he's going to be a keeper. Okay. Come to the stove. Put my pan on high heat just to get it warmed up. For my steak, I like to season it with just salt and pepper very heavily around all the edges, front and back. I think that's just good. Don't overthink it. I do find some steak seasoning to be extremely salty, so that's another reason that I tend to stray away from it. So we're just going to go in with some avocado oil. Avocado oil is for this high smoke point, right? Because we want to sear off our steaks, get a nice crust on them, we need something with a high heat so that way it doesn't end up like smoking before the steak can actually cook. And try to also get your steaks dry. I'm just patting mine down lightly with a paper towel because I don't want any of the seasoning to come off. But I want them to be dry because if it has to cook off moisture before it actually gets to cook the steak, we're going to kind of run into this problem where then the crust won't form because it's trying too hard to cook off the water. And cooking a good steak, very impressive to most people, even though personally I find it to be not that crazy. Also, if you want to, because you're cooking this for someone else on a first date, I would go temp thermometer just to make sure you get it right for what they like. So if you ask like, oh hey, do you want your steak medium, medium well? That's a little bit of a red flag. Well done, kick them out. Medium, medium rare. I like to do mine medium rare. We're gonna temp it anyways because that's just how I like to do it. That's a great way for you to make sure that you get the right doneness. All right, so we're gonna get this in the pan and we're gonna get these seared off. Now this will splatter. Be mindful of your outfit. This is the thermometer I use. I think it's from Amazon. It has a bottle opener on it. I feel like that's very man. Okay. Just giving it a little check. Still has some crust to form, so I'm just going to keep it on this medium-high heat and just keep going. Okay, my friends, date's going swimmingly. We've made minimal dishes as well, which I also love. Because then cleanup can either be handled later or tomorrow. None of my business. And the last thing we're going to do is dessert. And if you really wanted to keep it simple, you could just do lemon pound cake. But I don't really see that as a dessert. I made this yesterday. I'll link the recipe in the description. It's so easy and simple. It does use lemon extract, which I don't have. I did just put lemon juice. I don't know what part we cut off at. Extract, and I just put lemon juice in it, and then I put some vanilla bean paste in it. So it's not so pungently lemon, but it's still delicious. And then I'm going to show you how I'm going to make a little no-bake, kind of runny cheesecake tasting thing. I don't even know. It's kind of like a pudding and a whipped cream had a baby, but it's real easy. And we're just going to spoon that with it, top it with some graham crackers. They're going to be delicious. So we're going to start with some, this is whipped cream cheese, and I also let it get to room temp because that will double help it be easy to hand mix. But basically, all I'm going to do is make heavy whipping cream with cream cheese in it. Then it makes it taste like cheesecake. It's wonderful. I'm going to put a little pinch of salt in, bring out the flavors. I'm going to put some vanilla bean paste in there. Add some zhuzh. We're going to do some powdered sugar. And then some heavy cream. And you may be like, Clarissa, how much of each of these? It's an experiment. Everything I do here It's just a big old question mark, okay? We're learning together, and that's what I love about being here. And that's also what I love about these recipes. But I usually watch the video, have a good estimate of how much I put in here, and then I'll share it with you either on Patreon or in the video description. And anything I share in my videos, I just put on Patreon for like a landing page so it's nicer. So that way, if you want like a downloadable recipe card version, you can have that. But all of them I make free and available to the public. You don't even need to join my Patreon, even just as like a free member. I do post other recipes on there that I make available to my free members, and then other stuff to the paid ones, but we're not about a paywall here, Mama. Are you kidding? That's it. You need to see this. There's like little vanilla bean flecks in there. Oh, she's gorge. Okay, let's plate her up. Here's how we're gonna assemble. So, I'm gonna take some of the pound cake. You should need a ton, and we're gonna cube it up. So don't do too thick. This is how, that's probably about half, 3/4 of an inch thick. And then we're gonna cut it up, and you don't want to do too thick of cubes. You want nice bite size. So then we're just gonna layer a little layer of cake. We might need more slices, but that's fine. And then some of our filling. Be generous. It's a date. Another layer of cake. Going in for some more. And like I said, you could do this with like one of those little mini sheet cakes from Trader Joe's. You could get lemon loaves from the store. You could get a box cake. Do it with that. You have a lot of options. You could also top this with fruit. You could add fruit in if you wanted another textural layer. And then you don't have to do graham crackers on top if you don't want to. If you have them on hand, just gives them a little bit of zhuzh, a little bit of showmanship. You could also add like just maybe a little mint sprig on top, although I have beef with garnishes that you can't eat, like that don't add anything to the meal or to whatever it is they're on top of. I feel like you should make them purposeful. So I'm just going to crush these up in my hand. I don't want big chunks. A light sprinkling. Oh, that's so cute. That's so cute. If the date didn't go well, I bet you at least they're writing home being like, wow, she can cook, Mama. Such a shame she's a weirdo. What do you think? Fork, spoon? We're doing spoon, okay? Cheers. Are you staying for, are you gonna go on another date with me? Thoughts, feelings, vibes. Would you come back for a second date?
Yes, I would.
Would you cook for me?
I'll try.
Do you enjoy this style of date?
Yeah.
When we first started dating, we did do some like at home meals and stuff.
Yeah.
And that was always fun.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it though was you cooking for me though, which oh how the tables have turned.
Yeah, that's because you came to visit me.
Yeah. In your tiny apartment.
And now we're in a slightly less tiny apartment.
We make the most of it. And I'm happy to keep dating you.
Me too.
Thank y'all so much for joining us on this date night. I hope you give this a go. I hope your love life is thriving and you're going on dates, living La Vida Loca. Don't invite strangers over to your house though, okay? Know them a little bit first. Enjoy your time together. Cook them delicious food. Share your heart. Share your love and soul of cooking like I love to also. So thank y'all so much for joining us at the table for another week. And we will see you hopefully with better consistent camera and audio next time. Bye.